Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to my preamble. I am continuing my read along of the Baillie Gifford list of non-fiction. The Baillie Gifford is a prize award for non-fiction books that have been published in the UK between October and October. They usually long list about 12 books, and I try and read all those 12 books before the shortlist gets announced. But I can't do it this year because one of the books is actually published the same day the shortlist gets announced. Ah! The Baillie Gifford judges stabbing me in the back there. But I'm still going to read the entire shortlist and compare what the Baillie Gifford judges have shortlisted, compare and contrast, and they shouldn't have done that. Actually, you should have done this book. I've already got in my head what books they're going to shortlist, and I've also got in my head Scooby ideas of what they're gonna put forward to win the non-fiction prize. So, as I said, yeah, I'm still going to read all the shortlist, even the one that's published in 4, 5, 6 days time, whatever it is. So we're on book 10 of 12, so we're nearly there, folks. And this is the Boundless Deep, Young Tennyson, Science and a Crisis of Belief. So this is a look at, if you don't know who Alfred Tennyson is, this is by Richard Holmes, if I've not said that. If you don't know who Alfred Tennyson was, he was a poet laureate in the Victorian age of Britain. So, and this is a sort of a biography of young Tennyson as a young adult. So this is not looking at kid Tennyson or old Tennyson. This is looking at as a young man, and then him becoming married and how he became a poet laureate. And it weaves, how his literature was very influenced of what was happening in the Victorian side. So drawing like the Victorian age, especially this chunk of the Victorian age, all the different sciences that was being discovered in geology, marine science, evolution, the dinosaurs. So all these are starting to crop up, and they started to butt heads with religion. And this is pretty much what Alfred Tennyson just wrote about all the time. I mean, there's the start there. I think his first kind of poem is called Kraken. And he was very much a science head, and he was writing science fiction even before Jules Verne started to write science fiction, but in like a poetry setting. And the Kraken's all about this gulf that's coming up and starting to swallow modern day thoughts with all this prevailing new science that's coming out, and all through his young adult and even into his adult life, he struggled with holding up his Christian values of what he was taught as a young kid. Now, the way Richard Holmes ties in all the poems and everything that was happening surrounding him, all his friends, and how he dealt with fame, and how other friends, in my belief, started to become jealous. Like his friend Fitzgerald started to become jealous of him, but also Tennyson was, not really talking to him anymore. I know I'm kind of waffling. This is my thought process here. I'm not much of a book critic. I'm just giving my opinions. So it talks about a little bit about his family life, a bit about why he started to write his poetry. The way some of his friends thought he was at one point in time was going against his ideals, because he started to go rah rah rah, let's go to war kind of speech, and kind of like imperial empire Britain, which his friends Fitzgerald and all that didn't think was him, and he was more trying to become part of the upper class. And he eventually got out of that and started talking about more, again, like one of his famous ones is about In Memoriam. It's about how his young friend from university days, I think it's Hallam, died, and it's very much a grief-stricken poem. It is really, really good, and I think Richard Holmes did a really, really fantastic job of just weaving, science along with how Tennyson's personal life with friends and family, and Victorian ideals of the time, struggling with religious beliefs, how it all tied together, how he all tied it together in this short look of Tennyson's just 30 years of his life. It was great. If you're interested in the Victorian period and what was going on in Britain during the Victorian time, all the rises of all these new sciences, you need to read this. And Tennyson was very much on the forefront of communicating science to just the general public. I love this, and I think some of Alfred Tennyson's poetry is really spot on, and I love the way the author, brought it into his biography. So yeah, that's very much a thumbs up for me. The Boundless Deep by Richard Holmes. If that sounds interesting to you, folks, pick it up. You won't be disappointed.